earth needed that healing. The land needed the healing. What happens when we look at mining? Just that alone, we can go on so much more. But when we look at the lands that have mining around them, we see more addictions, more crimes. The soil is not as good. The crops are not turning as well. We are having less daylight, more depression, more anxiety, school grades dropping. It's huge, and people just don't see it. So we're destroying an entire city so that you could feel better. That's not spirituality. Spirituality means you search within yourself alone. You don't need anything else. Nothing but yourself. You are the key and the master that you have been searching for all of your life. Nothing more, nothing less. And until you find that key, no other door, no other key is going to work. It's just going to be blank walls that make you feel a little better because you look a little bit more pretty.
Welcome to the Holo Movement, Awaken Your Purpose Podcast, where we interview incredible people that are living and breathing their purpose. And you can too. If you would like to support this programming, drop us a like or leave us a review. Now let's dive in.
Hello, everybody. My name is Zenka Caro, and my passion and purpose is to make the impossible possible. We are here today with a very special guest. Melissa Jolly Graves is a water scientist, and she has done so many incredible things. She is a natural telepath, which means she can communicate with nonverbal autistic children that are now called beyond verbal, because they're downloading so much information and bringing up so much knowledge and wisdom from their other realms and from their own realms. And Melissa not only works as a telepathic channel for this community, but she works on some of the most cutting edge plasma, crystal, and water research in the world. Her inventions are helping us reimagine what would be possible when we could clean up oil spills in water like that. Welcome to Sedona, Melissa.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
I love that you said making the impossible possible. I have to just hit on that right away, because if you actually go to my website, it says making the impossible I'm possible. With just a change of perspective and a little dot, we have a whole nother sentence.
Wow, unpack that for me.
Well, impossible, right? Spelt the same way as I'm possible. But if you separate the I and the M from the possible and leave a little space, that space that you have there makes the impossible I'm possible.
Wow. That's definitely come through in getting to know you. I'm like, wow, if Melissa is getting the information she's getting, you are possible, and you represent something beyond my wildest dreams. If I were just to invent different roles and jobs and things like that, you would not be even near my list. So it's amazing that your career has shaped in the way that it has, and you've had such a major impact on Veda Austin, all these different water researchers around the world, and that you're being funded to create these things. Can we let's talk about your water research, but how would you umbrella the whole phrase, like, what is your purpose?
My purpose is to be Melissa Jolly Graves. There's no other purpose. I feel that the greatest purpose that everybody has in their life is to be themselves. And when you honor yourself and get to know yourself, you get to know your inner powers. You get to know your inner strength, what you're capable of. You get to push the limits that you thought were limited beyond anything that anybody could ever think. And so it's been an interesting cycle for me, going from this chaotic world of, I was a born seer, so I've seen things all my life, and just the diagnosis that they tried to put me through has been insane. They couldn't find anything that said I was insane, so I called them the insane ones. Because they couldn't find it, and I was telling them that it was true, and now we're seeing a lot of things that I was saying in the beginning are coming to fruition. And so it's really allowed me to step further into myself once we have evidence that's there. Oh, we said it, it is. We said it, it is. And after a certain amount of time, when you say things, and then it just is, you start noticing, well, what I say is. And it is my reality. And it is the way that I function. And it is the morals that I live by. And so I really had to step back and ask, wow, if I could think of anything and everything all at once, what would be the greatest change in humanity? And it would be to give the voiceless a voice. And that includes water, that includes earth, that includes plasma, that even includes your inner soul, even if you're a speaker. And the more that I stepped into myself and my passion and out of what the world told me I was, and I stepped into myself, I was embraced in a way I didn't think I ever would be. I was scared of this world. I was scared to come out. I was scared to speak. I was held back by the teachers in my head that said that I belonged in special education. I was held back by the counselors, by my parents, by my own siblings, who didn't understand what I was going through, so they became afraid of me. They said something was wrong with me. And what I learned in my journey of accepting myself, and what I learned in the journey of working with water, is that everything is flow and it's going to move, whether you do or not. So the more that I move, and the more that I stay in flow, and the more that I pay attention, and the more that I connect, the more I just am. And it becomes this great orchestra of the entire universe working with a single person. And now I can't step out of that because I'm living the actual dream that I really wanted to live. And that dream that I had the whole time was just a dream to be myself. And I never knew that. I looked outside.
That's so powerful, Melissa, because if you hadn't embodied who you were, you're the translator of the wholest part of the whole, which most people aren't even aware of. Like the beyond verbal, kids that have a whole world, you're reading into their world, you're understanding, you're listening to the water, you're listening to the earth. So it's like you're getting all of this like futuristic perspective on regeneration, on remediation, on the way that plasmas and frequencies work, and how the temples should be, and how you have a school planned for beyond verbal autistics where they can actually start to get their information as scientists. You're working on technology to clean up oil spills. I mean, it's amazing. Like, if you had not been you, the world wouldn't have been able to step these many steps forward. So thank you, Melissa. Wow.
And same to you. I wouldn't have this opportunity to share my story if you hadn't stepped up into your place.
Wow, yeah. So let's talk about your water technology before we go into some of the deeper parts of how you figured out that the purpose of life was to be yourself, and to make sure to get that across the finish line of I'm going to speak my mind. And so yeah, tell the viewers how it works, your water technology, and how you got it.
Okay. Well, it was developed in a vision, and I was very concerned about the oil spills that had happened all over our lakes, our lands. You see it everywhere, even with little boat motors. But mainly, I was concerned about the wild rice that sat upon the American Indian indigenous members. And I wanted to give back what has already been gifted to me. And water and ancestors have given me much of my hope and my faith and my opportunity to live. And I saw that they were being diminished. They were being drowned within themselves. And so I asked the wild rice, and I asked the ancestors, and I asked the water and the land what the best thing would do. And they said that I would be making the first mushroom that would float upon the waters, and that would have the buoyancy to do so, and eat the oil off the waters. And so wherever you inoculate, in 100% of all of the studies and all of the subjects, we've put a little bit of the spores, just a tiny bit, maybe sometimes even just a Q-tip full of spores, and pop it in the water. And you need nothing else but a touch of one spore, and the one spore does enough, and you pop it in the water wherever it has oil, and it will almost overnight network itself and rebranch itself out and work and feed from the oil and actually build its own feeding system network. And then it eats the oil. And when it's done, and the waters are as clear as they can be, and the oil is taken off, it just drops and crystallizes into the water. And then it gives these beautiful little art pieces to the little fish down there that have these little squares, prism centers that hold the oil down there. So I don't know. I hope it gives a little light show down in the bottom of the lake too. But
this is so incredible. So what you developed with the yeast and the mycelia and everything, it encapsulates the oil, brings it down to the bottom, then all clean water's on the top, and then it's encapsulated the little oil pocket into a crystal. That's crazy cool. And you guys have been in trials and testing that have to go for 7 years long, and then it took 4 years to get it grown from the beginning. Like, this is a long-term effort, but it could be a really, stunning, way to heal the water.
Life-changing,
Wow.
life-changing. But we are dealing with fungi. We are dealing with mold and mycelium and yeast, which we all know can spread so quickly anywhere and can take over colonies of living beings. We see it with the ants, we see it with spiders. I don't know if you've heard of the zombie ants yet, but mushrooms will actually take over and then grow little mushrooms out from the top of their heads. And the mushroom now starts to take over the brain system of the insects. And it actually becomes a walking mushroom, but the insect is no longer there. It is only the inner cords of the networking root system of the mycelium. And so it's actual mycelium that's just walking around. And that was probably from either nature or somebody who messed up and put a different kind of mycelium together that wasn't good for Earth. And now we have something that is actually overtaking our insects. So when we're looking at small spores in the way that we are, because they can get microscopic to the point you can't even see them, we have to really make sure that all environments are going to be safe. It's going to be safe for humans. It's going to be safe for the fish that are in the water. It's going to be safe for the environment around it, and we're not going to have anything taken over and colonized by these mushrooms or mold.
Wow, yeah, that's why it's this arduous 7-year track.
Yes.
And it's just really cool. I just want to say, though, that maybe a lot of scientists would say this, but ions, Radin always says, if I get it in a dream, I know it's right. So it's really cool for you to be a collaborator, as you say, with the ancestors to bring this down. Do you remember at what point in your life you came to the realization that your purpose was to be yourself?
I remember the exact moment. I was actually watching Netflix in the basement with my husband. We were watching The Secret that had come out on the Netflix. And as we watched it, I was just picking up so much. And my husband knew who I was. He had seen me, and I showed myself all the time around my kids and my husband, and they were my safe place of who I could be. But I was just picking up so much more in the world, so much that I couldn't keep it in anymore. And this show comes out, and my husband looked dead eye into my eyes and said, babe, I got to ask you a question. And I said, what? Can you be for the world what you are for me? Because I believe in you, and I believe that what you have to give to the world is a gift. And so I need you to believe in me and my words, and believe in yourself more than you believe in the words that the people said before. And tomorrow when we wake up, you're going to be you. No apologies. You're not going to give any excuses, and you're no longer going to have to prove yourself. You're going to wake up and you're going to be you. And I woke up and I went to Walmart. And I just started reading people. And they all loved it and they all accepted it. And I thought, wait, what? And then I went to work, and here I am. Oh, you got stage 4 cancer. This is the labs that we need. This is what happens. And it was just, I mean, I was a nurse then, so it was so easy because I would see the labs. I would see the x-rays. I would see everything that I was seeing that I wanted to say to the doctors. And now I have my hardcore evidence. Now I have, okay, well, there's something more to it. And then as it works, the supervisor says, well, you're doing a little bit something. Do that little something to me. I said, I don't know what you're doing, but she says, you're doing something. So I just put my hands on her. She says, you're doing Reiki. So I go to Reiki, and the Reiki teacher says, well, I don't have anything to teach you. Here's your masters. And then I go to the Mayan shamans, and they say, well, you're one of us. You're the crystal reader for the things. You're 18 level, and our other guy is 13 level. So teach us. And then I go to with my mother. It says the American Indians, and why I say that is it does come down to the treaties, and she was an adopted mother of mine. I have to say that, not biological, and she was a reservation mom who really fought for American Indian rights. And what they found is that once they transferred their name to Indigenous or Native, or just Indian without American Indian on it, that their treaties were failed, because the treaties were signed between the government and the American Indians, never between the government and the Indigenous. So when they had them resign as Indigenous, or when they had them resign, it negated all of the treaty rights before that. And so the system is a very interesting system. But,
Of words. System
right?
of words.
A system of words. Always changing words so that we can change the meaning to shape our reality in the way that we want it, right?
Yeah. That's incredible that it was your husband who was like, oh, you do you, I see you, you don't have to prove yourself. Because now you're like speaking at MIT, and you're like in all these films, and here you are like doing this like a super important research. You traveled to all these autistic houses of families who couldn't even communicate with their kid, and you were like, okay, I can do it. Like, I can telepathically link with them. This is what they're saying. You guys are living together, figure it out, you know? So that's like, you've done so much research as a translator from the other side, like, oh, and then that's not even to mention your work with temples and the whole plasma thing, and wow. At what point was it a struggle for you to live your purpose, or what struggle have you faced by being yourself?
The lies that have been set before me. The people that have spoken as though something is true, but they did not have the discernment nor the skills to research whether it was proper or not. And so we have a world, and I'll say this. So I was asked in front of 2,000 people, what is the greatest threat to society? And I was honestly going to say hate, violence, something like that. And an angel just came right through, because it knew Melissa did not know. And Melissa was going to be shocked for the answer. And the words that fell out of my mouth, I couldn't even believe I was saying, because here I'm hosting this festival, this spiritual festival, where I'm teaching people how to find themselves, their purpose, their spirituality, their humanity, and their mind all at the same time. And when asked the question, what's the greatest threat? The answer came back, the religious leaders the spiritual leaders and the scientists, because many of them have seen the end, have seen the beginning, or have seen the middle, and they jumped to their own conclusion without hearing the entire story, without seeing where the lines that they were following actually led to. So we have many of these spiritual people and these scientists and these religious people that are actually being led by something that is not divine, and they just don't have the discernment. So they're out here telling people, go mine a crystal, break earth, take it apart so that you can wear all these crystals, put them around your body so that you could connect to earth. Meanwhile, we're forgetting that earth needed it. Earth needed that healing. The land needed the healing. What happens when we look at mining? Just that alone, we can go on so much more. But when we look at the lands that have mining around them, we see more addictions, more crimes. The soil is not as good. The crops are not turning as well. We are having less daylight, more depression, more anxiety, school grades dropping. It's huge, and people just don't see it. So we're destroying an entire city so that you could feel better. That's not spirituality. Spirituality means you search within yourself alone. You don't need anything else. Nothing but yourself. You are the key and the master that you have been searching for all of your life. Nothing more, nothing less. And until you find that key, no other door, no other key is going to work. It's just going to be blank walls that make you feel a little better because you look a little bit more pretty. And the crystal is saying, help, 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 trying to call to its other colony over there and saying, we want to come back. So it's screaming. That's what you're feeling. It's not saying, I love you and I heal you. It of course will. It of course will say, I love you and I heal you. But it's wanting to go back. Could you imagine being a healer? You're a healer. Let me strip you of your arms and your legs and shape you in the way that I want you. Cauterize you so that your energy can't go out. And then I'm going to tell everyone that you're my ultimate healer. But I'm a big spiritualist, right? No, because spirituality would have left Earth. Would have said, leave it in the earth. And if you want to go and you want that carnelian, you want that amethyst, you want that meteorite piece, whatever it is, then go there and feel the energy from it. Feel the actual ancient energy that it's wanting to give you. Well, it is still in place where it needs to be, where God and earth put it. Because once we start bringing things to different places, now the energy gets messed up. And so now we have all this Brazilian amethyst that I need to work with in Minnesota, because we got all these little Minnesota things, and it's going crazy because it does not know that environment at all. We can get into so much more, but that's just one little thing about it, you know? And then we look at the religious people that just omit so much of what the whole is. They use the sentence that works for them, but they omit what works for the people. And that's huge. So having times where you actually research rather than just listen changes the game up all the way.
Yeah, you've been really stringent with the community about both of those themes, about listening and also about doing rigorous research, where you do the whatever 4 years or this or that to really do the research. I love how holistically you think about the world, and I love how you're called the rebel prophet, you know, where you're just like, oh, we think we're wearing crystals, that is healing us. And like when we forget the largest conversations, then we haven't gotten the full picture, which is like what you're communicating. What do you think, what would be your advice to someone that doesn't know why they're here? Or
there's a lot of people out there that don't know why they're here. And it's a sad place, because you're just here to express life, to experience, to create. And what I would say, find your passion. Find something that makes you angry or something that makes you excited. And most wouldn't think to go to anger. But why I say anger is anger gives us this great opportunity to see what's wrong, but it gives us the passion to fix it. So if you are out there and you say, oh, I'm so angry about the trash all over, pick it up. I'm so angry about the way that I'm seeing people be treated online, swipe. Don't watch the video. I'm so upset that people are being bullies, be an advocate then. Anything that you see wrong in the world, ask yourself, how can I make it right? Each individual person is a spark of light that has their own initiative, their own mapping, their own experience, and their own purpose. But everybody's purpose is the same, to just be themselves. Trust yourself. Be accountable for what you went through. You know what? We don't care. And I'm going to tell you, I work with spirits. I work with angels. I work with God. I work with these beautiful autistic souls, Down syndrome, people in coma. I've been with people in death. 76% of the stuff that people think matters doesn't. And if you really sit and just go sit in nature, and I feel like that's a key, because if you sit in nature and you're by yourself and you're just out there, think about your presence. Where am I? Who am I? Where is my sum in this equation? Take everybody out and just be with yourself. What you will see is you're probably not in as immediate danger as you thought. You now have time to sit. You now have time to think. You now have time to be. That's the time that you start to analyze yourself. What is your body feeling? What's your emotions feeling? What's your spirit feeling? Where are you at? And be honest with it. Be honest with every word that you have. Every thought that you have, be honest with it. And if it's sucky to say in your head, okay, that sucks. That sucks that I said that. But that's the reality of it. And sit with that. And then what you get to do is you get all your problems here, all on the table. So imagine all of your problems, a Lego. And every time that you pick out a problem, you get to put a Lego on the table. After a while, all of your problems are no longer problems. They're blocks for creation. Every tragedy is a book of lessons, an opportunity for change, a different way of being. If you have tragedy, you have depression, you have anxiety, go to nature. It will accept you. It'll make you feel happy. When you get that feeling, ask yourself, what is it that I'm uncomfortable with? How can I change it and make this beautiful tragedy work for me? Something I went through, did it make my voice stronger? Did it make my mind stronger? Did it help me endure pain? Start talking yourself up, because you are your only advocate. You're the only person in the world you should trust. You're the only person who has been through everything that you have been through in every experience, in every case scenario. Nobody, even the two-headed twins have the same experience, because you're not in the same light. You're not in the same density. You're not in that same pressure point. You're not in the same, in that very place that you were, even a foot away from somebody, is something that was so delicately spaced for you. Honor yourself. If you can't find anything else, say thank you for breathing. Thank you, heart, for beating. Start saying thank you, because thank you overrides every emotion. When you say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, then you suddenly gain your worth. And then you gain your worth, and then you gain your attitude, and then you gain your passion, and then you gain you. And then you find your purpose. And then you're probably going to do 50 other things, because when you find you're limitless. So we don't stick to water, we don't stick to earth, we don't stick to telepathy, we don't stick to healing, we don't stick to spiritual guiding, we don't stick to movies, we don't stick to anything. We just be and we live. And our career is living. That's your career. Everything else falls in place. Because when you're truly you, nothing is work.
Amen. That was a huge gift package that you
asked a
just
lot.
Wow. Wow. That's
I had to go through my whole life and say, okay, why did I do that? Okay.
Yeah, that's so cool to be living in a world where your job is to live, is to follow your passions and the things, Lynn Twist talks about. It's like the things that make you cry and the things that make you sing are what is so yours to do. What effects have you had on the rest of the world by you living your purpose?
Well, from what I have seen, I have given people, as you said yesterday, and I loved it. I called my husband, I said, I finally know what people have been saying. I give the permission slip to be you. I give you the ability to say, hey, you can be spiritual and you can live in this modern day society and you can be kind all at once. It doesn't have to be separate. It doesn't have to be this grand show, because when you're truly you, you're just living. You don't care who sees. So I'm not putting on anything for anyone. I'm just working for myself, and if you observe it, cool. Congratulations. If not, I'm just living life for me and talking and doing what my heart asks me to do. But I'm doing it in normal clothes, and I'm not doing it with all of these hooroo things, and I'm just showing up and just talking and having these kind of conversations and saying, this is all you need.
And you're translating anthems from the nonverbal autistic communities that they write together that like you have in recording studios. Like, Melissa, you're so beyond my wildest dreams and imagination. I love the work that you're doing in the world, giving voice to so much. And we haven't even talked about your crystals and how you work with the programming them. But anyway, so the final question here is, what would the world look like if a majority of people were living their purpose?
Oh. More restful, less stress, more harmonization, less depression, less anxiety, better understanding, more connections. We could make universal changes and actually shift the stars if we asked them to, in the right attitude. We would give hope, faith, clean the waters, clean the lands, work in a symbiotic relationship with what we were already given before we made it. Animals would speak to us. They would reside with us. They would teach us. Water would speak in ways that people could actually hear it and don't just need to feel it. The world would start to interlink in a place that would start the oneness and would lift conscious expression into another dimension that we haven't seen yet. No species, and we're the 25th species to exist right now of humanity. None of them have honored it correctly. I would love to be that first kind.
We will, we will, we will. We do, we do, we do. We won, we won, we won.
I feel it
Thanks
already.
for coming, thanks for coming, thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Do you have any final words for our listeners and viewers?
You are the impossible. You are the one and only thing that you have actually been waiting for all of your life. And if you just tap into and ground into yourself, I guarantee you will fall in love with yourself, because each walking and living person that is on this earth today is of light. And in 107 religions, the Creator said that light is good. So if you still have that light in you, you still have goodness in you. And I challenge you to find that light and express it on this world, because there's many people in caves that need torches.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Everybody, you can find out more about Melissa Jolly Graves at melissajollygraves.com. Thank you for this transmission, Melissa. We'll see you next Monday on the Awaken Your Purpose podcast.
Thank you for joining us today. It is our goal to give you the courage to begin to identify your passion and live your purpose for the sake of yourself and for the sake of us all. Over the course of this multi-year collaboration and research project, we have identified patterns and a 7-stage process that many people go through on their way to living their purpose. If you'd like to browse our archive or figure out what stage you're in, head over to holomovement.net/purpose. If you would like to browse our living library of resources, or if you found your purpose and want to contribute what worked for you, head over to lightnet.org/purpose. And as Mark Twain used to say, the most important day of your life is the day you're born and the day you figure out why. You're not alone. We will look forward to helping you on this incredible journey. This has been a collaboration between Holo Movement, LightNet, and incredible people like yourself. Special thanks to Good of the Whole. We'll see you next time.